Okay, but did you stop and say, hey, it's me?
No, it's so funny because I hadn't seen them in years. Like, they didn't recognize me. They were like, you are glowing. What's your secret? And I said, honey, I'm healing.
Welcome back, everyone, to Honey, I'm Healing. This is one of your co-hosts, Irina.
And this is Renee.
So I love our topic today. We're talking about poverty mindset, and under that, we'll mainly be hitting scarcity versus abundance mindset. Mm-hmm. And I really, really like this because I have been through the waves of all the sides in this. And right now, I think I'm like this on the 75% mark towards abundance, 75-80.
What's that journey kind of looked like for you? I mean, and I'll preface it by saying this. I think that this ties in really well to when we talked about feminine energy and we're like living out of survival mode.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's a lot of crossover for you personally in that, or kind of what does that look like for you?
Definitely do, because let me just read you like the definition I found of abundance from the Strive Project website. And she wrote, abundance is not about having enough, it's about being enough. In an abundance mindset, I operate from my truest self, my essence. The belief that I am enough frees me to think creatively and be myself without having to prove or force anything. And I think that goes so hand in hand with feminine energy, and like me still being in a place where I'm having to remind myself to be in my feminine energy. I'm also feeling like, okay, let's get back into abundance mindset here, because I didn't grow up with an abundance mindset. I did in some things and not in others. So yeah. Do you think so too?
Oh yeah. I definitely think so. And I think mine tends to lean more spiritual, and we don't have to get into that side of it a whole lot. But after going through a separation and, just the kind of season of life that I've been in for the last 3.5 years, I've had to really kind of shift my mindset into like, things will work out for me. I think that if anything out of this season that I've gotten has been just that. It's that I'm already enough and I already have everything that I need to be successful. And I'm a huge affirmation junkie. I love affirmations. So I either speak them over myself a lot or, I'll read them. But I think that verbally saying that out loud too, I think has creative potential in your life as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't get to saying those things unless you are actively starting to live out in an abundance mindset. So
totally.
I wrote abundance, and let me read scarcity really quick, and then we can just kind of talk about the two and share our experience. Scarcity is the belief that there's a limited amount of what we want: money, time, love, connection, material goods, praise, and that once we have it, we must hold on to it for dear life, lest it evaporate into thin air. I coming to America as a refugee and having parents who have raised me in a mindset of like, go big, dream big, like God brought us to America and we can do anything we want here. Definitely feel like that instilled that risk taker, entrepreneur, abundant mindset in me. But because realistically I lived in poverty for like a big portion of my life, that system is still so deep in me, and you have to really rewire yourself. Why did I sound Minnesotan? Rewire.
I am rubbing off on you. Yay! My plan is working.
Did I sound Minnesotan?
I didn't catch it, but I'm around it literally 24/7. So,
So funny.
You brought up a really interesting point, because when I think of a poverty mindset, I mean, obviously you can be physically, tangibly, viscerally in poverty, but I think that there's poverty of spirit and emotions too. And, I'd love to touch on both.
Yes, please.
So going off of what you had said, I grew up in a really middle class family. I would say maybe even like upper middle class, but I didn't really have anything that I was growing up that I lacked. If I wanted something, my parents would find a way to get it for me. And then when I grew up and got my first job and, you know, you have to make your own money, I started to be a lot more frugal. I talked about control issues last week, and I think that that's part of it too for me. It's that, you know, I needed to have control, so I feel like I have to be like really stingy and not enjoy my life because I'm not gonna, I don't see any fruit out of enjoyment, like out of my money. I'm just stuck in this rut of grind mode. And
you see a lot more in having to hold on to things.
Yeah.
But you kind of like have been in this mindset of like holding on to things.
Yeah.
And that plays a big role into everything around you too.
Yeah. Well, and my family, my whole family on my dad's side were bankers. So I grew up being constantly told to save money. And I remember my parents would give me so much affirmation whenever I would put money from a birthday card into my savings account. And they really drilled into me, like, save as much money as you can. And so I think that kind of started there as well. But
that's not a bad trait either.
No, it's not. It's definitely not.
But it can lean onto the Dave Ramsey side, which I put him here in our notes. We shall discuss.
I saw that. I just saw that. I was like, oh boy. Yeah, but like you said, there are so many different takes to scarcity versus abundance mindset. It's not just about money, but typically if you have a certain mindset in one area of life, it's very similar in your money as well, and in your sleep, in your workout, like in all areas of your life. What did your parents do majority of your life growing up? Both of my parents were in finance.
That's like, with those two jobs, like that's pretty good combined income, at least for what I know the average to be nowadays.
Yeah, until the recession hit, and
yeah,
that was hard.
Did you go bankrupt? So did
that's
we.
A big, really?
Yeah, we moved to Tennessee in 2008. My parents lost everything, and we literally picked like a spot on the map of like where life is, you know, where the market is so good, and it was Knoxville. And then we knew someone here too, and then me and my friend, both of our families moved over here.
I never knew that. I just always assumed. I never asked you how you guys migrated from California to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that's where I say my parents, you know, they always wanted us to have an abundance mindset. And in a way, they did too. But unfortunately, there's certain limitations you have. Not having a college degree and not speaking the language of the country you're living in definitely is a barrier. So I do wonder, like, if those barriers weren't there for them and those challenges weren't there, how much farther they could have gotten, because my dad is the hardest working man I know.
What a time to be alive, 2008.
Good times.
When you had originally read the definition of scarcity, the first thing that came to my mind was really catty women.
Okay.
And like the dynamic between this really toxic mindset between women of, because she has him, like there's something wrong with me, or like this mindset of whatever she has means that it's being taken from me, whether it's like looks or whatever, like invalidates what I have. And do you kind of get what I'm getting at here? Yeah. It's that's the first thing.
Well, worth and self-esteem. Yeah, just this feeling of lack, feeling like nothing ever goes your way, and feeling also like you have no control in your life to create good opportunities and to have good outcomes. It's a very pity me victim mindset. But I also do want to acknowledge that sometimes some people are born with better cards in their hands.
I agree, because I think in those situations, that's where I would define a wealth mindset, or somebody that is really mentally wealthy, mentally rich. I would define that person as being able to be in a situation of poverty but still maintain their identity and their worth and not let their external circumstances get to who they are as a person. After talking last week about consumption and how stuff-oriented our country is and materialistic our country is, I think that a lot of people put their value in what they own or what they have. And so in many ways, it's almost like those people are the poor ones.
Yeah, for sure. 'Cause it's just, it has even nothing to do with the stuff you have. It's feeling like today is enough and you're so present in the moment and content with your life because you only get this one day, because that's what you have. But you also know there's more joy to come to. Like, you know that you may have one day. Scarcity mindset looks at it as like, oh my God, I need to hold on to this. Like, this is the only one I have. Abundance looks at it as if I'm going to enjoy it and expect more, have an anticipation of more.
Yeah, it's letting go. It's letting go. And for me, that came through grief, which we talk about a lot on the show. But I learned that lesson through grief because in the darkest parts of the valley I was just in such a place where I was perfectly crafted to come to the realization of I only have to make it through today. I only have to get through today. And that made me grateful for what was just in front of me. And it made that much more in front of me visible, that which I would have overlooked entirely. You know, you talk a lot about the law of attraction, and I know that that's a big thing that you love to talk about. And I think in many ways, a lack mindset combats that theory, because what you speak, you attract. And when you're depressed and sad, you're not necessarily speaking life into your circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think law of attraction works for scarcity mindsets too. You're going to attract exactly what you focus on because you're ruminating on it, and therefore you will physically take action and make choices that will continue in that direction. So it's not like this magical attraction of things coming your way. It's little by little, all the little choices and beliefs validate what you deep down believe about yourself. And then that's what you create.
It's so good.
But I have been reading this book. It's called, I think it's called The Theory of God. It's about physics. And don't ask me too much on it because I don't really understand it. But
what's Newton's third law? No, I'm just kidding.
It has already spoken about Newton, and I've completely forgotten everything about it, but I'm really reading into, this is a super side note, but reading into how, like, when you look under a microscope, every single living and non-living matter vibrates. It moves. Everything in this earth moves. Everything moves towards something or away from something. If every particle in our body is constantly moving, who's to say that there are not other things moving towards us or away from us too?
I totally agree with that.
Now, for the people listening, especially Christians who may think I'm crazy, we're going to go into our next subtopic called fixed versus growth mindset.
I have a caveat to what you had just said, though, because I know that in charismatic churches, like you and I are very well acquainted with, people will say, like, I call forth this thing. And I believe that. I believe that you call it forth. Like, I call forth $1 million.
Yeah. And will it look like it just coming to you? No, I don't think so realistically.
You never know. I'm just kidding.
Well, in that case. But it may look like, the very baby step of that $1 million, like the very tool to get you there, that first little baby step comes to you. And it may look like a friend who can help you learn how to budget, because in order to steward $1 million, you should probably know how to budget your money. It's little things like that like once you start asking and accepting and calling things out, they're going to start coming. Might not look like what you imagined, but yes, that's pretty much what I was talking about. And I feel like that's law of attraction. I think law of attraction can be actually very biblical. I just like to look at the science of it too. And the science of it is, I think, where people get a little bit tripped up. But that's where I'm like, well, why can't God and science coexist? If God is so big and he's creator of everything, why isn't he the creator of science too? So that's a side topic.
I would love to get into that. Oh,
Yeah, we should do that. Coming soon, guys. Coming soon.
I'm muzzling myself right now.
But yeah, that next mindset, I said fixed versus growth mindset. I think it also teeters on the line of scarcity versus abundance, because people who have an abundant mindset, they never feel or think that they have it all right, or that they've got it all figured out, or that they know exactly, or that they know everything there is to know. People who have an abundance mindset, like they're constantly in wonder and awe. They have open mindsets to learning everything and then being able to decide for themselves, I like this, I don't like that. But they're never in this moment of, nope, this is what I believe, I don't want to hear about it, because somehow that like dips into their security and then they don't feel secure, and it kind of strips their core away from them. But ironically, because they are insecure, because they do have a scarcity mindset, they're not able to be open-minded. So that was like very deep, and I don't know how to explain that, but I hope it made sense.
I think one thing that came to mind when you were talking about that is the difference between fear and humility when it comes to the question of knowing everything. And I think that that's kind of maybe what you were trying to say a little bit in regards to staying curious and seeking things out. I think people are afraid to explore and be curious about things outside of, if you're talking particularly in the Christian faith, or, it does boil down to comfort. Yeah, I think it boils down to comfort, but you're not going to grow if you stay comfortable.
Yeah, I was actually referring to people who get a degree, a 4-year degree, go into their career and then hate it, but then feel like they're stuck because that's what they've chosen, and they're afraid to leave, they're afraid to take that risk. Well, to me, that's a fixed mindset. Whereas people who have an abundant mindset, like because they don't know everything, risks exist.
I'll say on that note, with the thing about the job, this is a super side tangent, but I'm nothing if not a lover of a good rabbit hole. Every single job that I've had has somehow, in a chain reaction, provided me an experience that benefited me more in the next job that I was in the most niche things. So whether it was learning how to clean the under cabinet of some sort of like dishwashing table at a restaurant, or learning how to use this specific tool, this, Power BI, or data visualization, the weirdest, most niche things that I have gathered from all of my positions have somehow made it into my next position and benefited me more there. And again, I think that kind of goes back to, if you stay grateful and present on your path, you're gonna get what you need to out of the situation that you're in. But if you're focusing on, kind of like you had said about the law of attraction and what you focus on, if you're focusing on feeling that lack or feeling like you don't have enough, you're going to miss that.
Yeah, and you're going to feel like it was all a waste of time rather than a growing and learning opportunity. Agreed. I'm so with you on that, and I feel like that's because we do hold that abundance mindset. I think me and you both have entrepreneur traits. Like, nothing is ever wasted. You learn, you grow, and you're excited for the next step. And at least when it comes to like jobs, I think of that for me.
It's funny, I would never describe myself as entrepreneurial, but I am so flattered that you said that, because
you hopped on Honey on Healing like that.
Yeah, but that was just because I knew spiritually, emotionally, I knew this was exactly what I needed. And I guess that kind of boils down to what I associate someone that's entrepreneurial to be like. But I think my growth mindset, or my positivity, it really beats from that positivity. I think when you're down long enough, you just get so sick of it and you just cling to what is good, and that gets you out of it. So I will say that there's hope and there's power in being in that lack mindset, because you can't have light without the dark, right? But I think, yeah, it's something you've got to learn and grow in.
Let me challenge you with a question for you saying, I don't think I'm entrepreneurial. When you've been in a rut financially and you're like, okay, I have to obviously change my finances. Is the first thing that comes to your mind like, okay, I need to find a job to find someone to work under who can help me like make money? Or what can I do to create more money, whether it be passive? Do you put that reliance on yourself or someone else?
Oh, yeah. I put
Someone
it on
else?
myself.
Well, there you go.
No, myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I'm the one who got myself into that position. So.
Well, you'd be
Like,
surprised with how many people put that on others. Or like expect like a job where they're an employee. Nothing wrong with it. But like the first thing they do is they find more security in that than they do in, let me sell digital prints on Etsy. That's very entrepreneurial. I don't know if I'm saying that right, like always.
Entrepreneurial. Whatever. My Lizzie McGuire cross-stitch print. I'm obsessed with it.
So cute.
That's very valid. I guess it doesn't matter how you get to that mindset. It just matters that you're there, because my immediate response to you telling me that was, you work under enough bad bosses and you don't want to work for anyone else. But it doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that I'm here. I've never wanted to work for somebody else at the end of the day. So I guess, look at you calling out something that I didn't see. That's women supporting women right there, as I said in our codependency episode.
Yeah. I think that's very entrepreneurial, because seriously, there are people who would be so much happier just working for someone else and allowing that person's name and legacy and company to be built instead of investing that into their own, which is totally fine, because not everyone is the same and we're not all built the same and we don't all have the same desires.
I thought about this quote that I heard of like, if you died tomorrow, your job would be filled within the week. You know, so how much energy and time should you really be putting into your job? Like, and I think that that's kind of where you can say your job and your career can look different. But I don't know. I've never been a person that's like, I want to work for the man. No, never.
Won't find me
Not
working
me.
for no man.
No, I'm gonna have men working for me. Okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Okay, so a couple of questions that I found.
I always have something to say.
Am I a money hoarder? No. Are you?
What's the difference between money hoarding and saving?
You can save with purpose, or you can save to hoard. You can save to hoard because you feel like you may never have money and you have to absolutely save it, because apparently having a lot of money in your savings account is the best thing you can do. Or you can save money to put it a down payment on an investment. You know, that's
I don't think I
wrong with that.
financially hoard.
Yeah, me neither. I love this one. How do I feel when I see others spending money on an item I perceive as a luxury?
Do you want the Christian answer or the non-Christian? I'm just kidding. I
want the Renee answer.
say go for it. You know, if you can, what does Jay-Z say? If you can't afford to buy it twice, don't buy it. Mm-hmm. I think Jay-Z said something along those lines, but I don't have any issue with people buying luxury items. Just don't live outside of your means.
Yeah, I get inspired.
Now, if they're putting their worth in that, that's a whole other thing. If you could have any luxury item, what would it be?
It wouldn't be an item, but it would be a house cleaner that could come in like every 2 days.
It's a good one.
Ugh. How about you?
A chauffeur.
To drive you to your work 2 minutes away?
You know what? I didn't ask to be called out. No, just kidding. I am, I'm kidding. I love you. I am a passenger princess.
Aww.
There is a reason that every friendship that I have, the other person is the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm always driving.
I'm saying, like, it's not even a conscious thing for me. It's just the way it is. I don't know. And that's how it is with, like, and then now I'm thinking, like, is that like a social cue that I'm missing? Of being like, oh, I can drive, or I don't know, but I always am the passenger.
I think
I don't know.
What we really need is a man, is what you're saying.
I need to, you know what we need? You know what we really need? We need a trip booked to Edinburgh, Scotland tomorrow.
Yes, we do. Another thing is, how can we shift into our abundance mindset? I'm going to tell you what I wrote, and then you go ahead and give me what you think. I wrote gratitude, surrounding ourselves with people we want to be like. And have you ever heard the saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future?
I was just thinking about it today.
I can pretty much tell what someone's life looks like by the type of people they hang around.
So true.
And then visualization, which I know you love.
Oh, that's where 90% of my delusions come from.
Those are called dreams.
That's very true. Thank you. I can only speak for what worked for me, but for me, it was this really counterintuitive thing of it doesn't depend on me. And when I say that, I think of being a very convicted, like, spiritual person. I recognized that it's the verse, I think it's in Matthew, where it's like, consider the lilies. That's my therapy verse. Consider the lilies and how the Lord provides for you. That's how I see it. That I didn't ask to be put on this earth. I didn't ask to be here, but all of my needs are already met. And when I see that, when I acknowledge that, I'm so much more grateful for it. And I think that that's how I embody an abundance mindset, is by knowing that all of my needs are already met. I think that says something about the power of expectation too.
Like, you already know everything you need is coming, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore you lack nothing and there's no need to worry.
Right. Doesn't mean I don't want anything. Lord knows that's not true. But all of my needs are already met.
Yeah.
I think as somebody that has a very intricate relationship with anxiety, that mindset shift for me of everything is taken care of for me has been transformational in just that way as well. Because again, to your point earlier, what you focus on, you attract, or it grows.
It expands, I feel like.
A woman that I love so very much once said, if you talk about the mountain, it grows. But if you speak to the mountain, it goes. And I just very, very firmly believe that.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's how I'm going to end it on that. But, you know who Morgan Harper Nichols is?
Mm-mm.
I have been reading this lately. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Absorb the air around you like a tree rooted by the riverbank, unafraid of the heat, leaves green, free, just to be present, with no need to solve anything. And there's a very pretty flower.
That's really good.
I don't need to solve, we don't need to solve any problems. I mean, that doesn't mean we can be lackadaisical and just, not have any accountability, but we have more help than we give credit for, or that we can really even fully acknowledge. And
whatever is meant for you will never pass you by. I think that goes hand in hand.
That's what this says. I took it out of my kitchen and I put it up here because so this is a Morgan Harper Nichols, and it says, you have not missed out on what was meant for you. And it has a little flower, but...
Did you have another one?
The more you love your decisions, the less you need others to love them. Right?
Mm-hmm. Validation? No, thank you. I'm good.
A soul that carries empathy is a soul that has survived enormous pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you can't have light without dark, and you can't have growth without setback. And I think that quote really shows the harmony between those two really hard truths, and that in the middle, in that juxtaposition of your circumstance, that it's growing you and you're gaining something from it, whether you acknowledge that or not, whether you see it or not. And I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. You can't have abundance without awareness of your lack. That's good.
So good. Well, this was so fun, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to go on another tangent with you next week.
Sounds good. Okay, guys, we'll see you next week.
I'll I'll be here. See ya.
Bye.